Good evening. City are through to the fourth round of the Carabao Cup with a 2-0 win against Huddersfield Town. Not a memorable game. I think the most memorable thing for me will be the quiz question one day when it's like, which pair of brothers did Calvin Phillips make a sensational return to Manchester City side in 2025 against Huddersfield in the Carabao Cup third round? And the answer, of course, will be the Heskey brothers. That was basically, it's a weird sort of pub quiz kind of question there. That was the sort of headline for me, other than, of course, a few players having a decent little performance. Foden in particular, Savinho got his goal. We'll talk about the game. Not an exciting game. I'm not going to sit here and pretend otherwise, it was perfectly fine. It was a decent game of football. This won't be the longest video because I've got a bit of a cough. I'm not feeling 100% right now. But I still enjoyed moments of that, City weren't electric, but were they functional? Did they get the job done? Was it refreshingly easy? When in a game like this, well, in previous years, we've definitely laboured every now and then against lower league opposition, even when we're at our very best. So there was no guarantee that this could have been, an absolute steamroll of a game. But we got the job done and we won the game, which is all that matters. And statistically, it was never really in doubt. They did hit the post, which was that sounds patronising, but I was happy for them to have the little moment there, But City had 75% possession overall, 82% in the first half, and had the game sort of relatively wrapped up pretty comfortably, reasonably early on when Phil Foden scored after 18 minutes. And after that, there was never really going to be any massive issue for City, and we strolled it. And there were some nice little stories there, If you look at that lineup, there were some players that needed some fitness, some players that wanted to build on momentum and so on, and some players that that had something to prove to some people. You look through the team: James Trafford, Nico O'Reilly, Ake, Stones, Nunes, Rico Lewis, Phil Foden, Oscar Bob, Gonzalez, Savinho, Mukasa. Only really two players who are guaranteed to start at the moment in Phil Foden and Nico O'Reilly. Nico O'Reilly never been a guaranteed starter either, so it was an awful lot of changes, lots of squad players, but also lots of experience, So as much as we talk about squad depth, missing certain key players, James Trafford is a very experienced goalkeeper for a young goalkeeper. Ake and Stones, of course, treble winners. Phil Foden, a treble winner. Then you get the Brazilian international Savinho, Nico Gonzalez, lots of experience in European football. Rico Lewis, a treble winner, member squad. Nunes, a Premier League winner. It's still a lot of experience in that, Then he went over to the bench and looked at that bench. It was a wild bench. Jaden Heskey, Tijana Reinders, Calvin Phillips. Wild. Reigan Heskey. It's mad that, the thing to me that's the most mental thing is Calvin Phillips making an appearance. Not the fact that Emil Heskey's sons, both played for Manchester City tonight at the same time. Yeah, and then Donnarumma alongside the Heskey brothers. Caden Braithwaite, Stephen Mafuni, which I was gutted to didn't see in action, actually. I think Mafuni's a cracking talent. Ruben Diaz and Bernardo Silva. So, yeah, it was a really an interesting night of football. The game itself, look, it wasn't great fun. The rhythm's never good when you change that many players, It's sort of hard to keep exhilarating football going when you make so many changes, and especially on the 24th of September. It's worth bearing in mind that a lot of these guys are only playing the first or second games of the season, and in some of their instances it's only the first start of the season. I think it's only the first start of the season for Savinho. Mukasa, it was definitely... have they all started a game this season? I think they all have, haven't they? Yeah. But it's only one or two or three games for most of these now at this point. And then, of course, the bench was full of debutants as well. And we'll start in goal with Trafford. Nothing to do. Nothing to say. Nothing to do. He wouldn't have got to the shot that hit the post. Covered nicely when he needed to. He had the one moment where he nearly ran it into the area, but he caught it and blah, blah, blah. Fine. Nico O'Reilly was good, solid, bombarded forward, was physically impressive. He's only, as he said, Pep said he's only young. He's not one of the grandfathers, as Guardiola said, in inverted commas, for Bernardo Silva. So he's absolutely fine to play. Decent performance. Ake and Stones, absolutely fine, man. It was easy for them. 1 billion passes. I'm going to guess, how many passes do you reckon Stones had, chat? Here we go. A few of you, give us a number. How many guesses? Don't cheat either if you know. But how many passes do you reckon Stones and Ake had tonight? I bet it's loads, isn't it? I'm gonna guess 90 odd. Must have been so easy for him. I reckon Nico probably pushed 100 passes as well. Nico Gonzalez. I'm gonna guess 92. What do you reckon? Then also Nunes, of course, played. Easy, fine for him. Rico Lewis, easy, fine for him. Nico Gonzalez was the best midfielder other than Foden on the pitch, actually. Nico Gonzalez, he should bully a team of this standard with his ability, and he did. I thought Nico Gonzalez absolutely smothered them in midfield and was far too good on the ball for them, which was nice. John Stones, let's have a look. How many passes? 111. Jesus Christ. I was well under. He had 111 passes, 113 completed. Yeah, so there we go. Stones averaging more than a pass a minute there. Too easy for him. Absolutely too easy. 116 touches and 10 out of 12 long balls completed. Misplaced 2. Shocking Johnny Stones. Even Ake, I reckon, would have been in the high 80s. Let's have a look. 120 for Ake. Jesus fucking Christ. 122 passes attempted for Nathan Ake. 120 completed. They are mad numbers for a very defensive dominant performance. And 75 out of 80 for Nico Gonzalez. 3 key passes as well. 89 touches. Big chances created 1. It was easy. Thoughts on Nunes? Nunes was fine. He was just there, man. Overlapped quite well and nicely. He did nothing bad, nothing good. Nunes was just there. Lots of accurate passes as well from everyone in that defensive line. Had around 100 passes. City overall, how many passes does City have? Let's have a look. Has he got the stats? 746 passes compared to the 195. So there we go. It was a very dominant display from Manchester City. Didn't create an awful lot of great chances, but we also, I think City's biggest issue was that we didn't really do anything when we got to the area. We were very, very wasteful from both sides of the pitch with how when we got to the ball. I was a bit disappointed by the quality of City's attacking, because we got into good positions so many times. The amount of times the cross or the final ball, the shot was just terrible. So this could have been easily comfortable if we wanted it to be. But it wasn't that kind of game. These games are always like that. When you've got a midfield of Rico Lewis, Nico Gonzalez and Phil Foden, then you've got Divine Mukasa, who's a number 10, number 8, playing as a false 9. It's going to be a bit of a weird game. The goal of course early on was brilliant from Phil Foden. I don't think Phil was anywhere near he wasn't. He was still the best player on the pitch. Free key passes, yeah. It wasn't the game for him to sort of excel, but he still scored a beautiful goal, and that's what the best players do. I remember, in lower league games where you'd have someone like David Silva or De Bruyne come on, and they would score a great goal or just create a chance out of nowhere and kill the game off against lower league sides, even if they weren't brilliant. And that's what Phil Foden did tonight. The 1-2 with Divine Mukasa, and then the 20-yarder drilled into the bottom corner. It's just really, really, really nice stuff from a player right now who's absolutely on fire. 4 goals and assists in 4 games. Yeah, he's looking really comfortable, Phil Foden, in his skin, and I want to see more of that from Phil Foden, taking that young team on his shoulders, those now reasonably broad shoulders, and driving City forward, because he is one of the more experienced players in the side, and that is the level that he should be operating at as a City player. A cracking footballer and a cracking goal. Savinho, it's very obvious that Savinho's burned a lot of bridges. The hate on my live chat for Savinho was strong. The hate on Twitter for Savinho was strong. I think a lot of people were divided on Savinho's quality last season anyway. I've always thought Savinho's got an awful lot of talent, but I admit that the first half of the season, good. Second half of the season, maybe sometimes good, maybe sometimes bad. It's got Simeone. But not Simeone, Gattuso. But I think a lot of the goodwill or the decency had disappeared towards him when he clearly wanted to move to Spurs, and City turned down 70 million British pounds, apparently, British sterling, which is an awful lot of money. And people were digging into him big time for his first half performance when he was wasteful. He was. I'm not quite as emotionally, I don't really mind a player wanting to move on as long as they're not dickheads about it, and there's nothing to suggest he's been a dickhead about it. Maybe he had some stern conversations, but as long as they're not being a prick, I don't really mind, and I'll never dislike someone as long as the teammates don't, it's different with people like Walker when he's just obviously been a knob. Like come on, man, at that point, disappearing mid-season as a captain and blah blah, blah and all the other stuff off the pitch, and that's different. And at that point you think, well, you're just a wanker, get out, just go to Italy, it's different with that. Savinho is obviously a young lad, 21 years old, Brazilian, probably slightly badly advised, or maybe just can't see the wood for the trees anyway, and he's a bit of an idiot, but I don't hold it against him, for wanting to move on. Spurs are still, it's not like nobodies. We might laugh at Spurs, but they're still a world famous side, and they're still a big institution in English football, so it's not like he was slapping us in the face with wanting to go somewhere. He might want to live in London, who knows? People just have their reasons. I guess the point I'm making is that it's not for me. I never shut the door in his face, and he was inconsistent today. But he got a goal which could be key for him. I did laugh Riley at him going kissing the badge. You don't get to kiss the badge, Savinho. I know what he's doing there. We've all seen that from I'm expecting Savinho to knock on the door next with a bunch of flowers and a box of chocolates and a puppy dog eyes expression to every season ticket holder. I'm sorry. Ain't that easy, mate. You're going to have to score a few more goals to win us over. He knows what he's doing, kissing that badge there, trying to win the fans back over, because he knows that he's burned some bridges. But I don't think it was ever personal. It is what it was. But either way, I've said it multiple times that Savinho's a better goal scorer from the left. I've said it countless times, because when he's on the right, he tries to slot it. He tries to open his body up. He cannot do that. He's not Mahrez. But can he smash the ball? Yeah, he can. He can smash his foot through it, which he scores most of his goals for Girona on that side. And he scored his goals for City. Not many, but he scored his goals for City from that side as well, where he's just smashed his foot through the ball. And I think it's very obvious that Savinho can, his first start of the season, he's got his first goal. He isn't, he isn't right now at his very best, but it's going to be a long season, and if he's going to be here, we're going to need him to contribute. So I'll take that, and the goal is good for him right now. Really happy that Mukasa got an assist as well. Very happy for him. A really talented young player. I would love to see Mukasa play a little bit deeper in his actual best role, but he played in an unfamiliar role. He did, the difficult things nicely. He worked hard. Technically, he's a very smart footballer, as you can probably tell. Got the assist, of course, 45 touches. A lot of accurate passes there as well, in a role, once again, that he's not familiar with. Yeah, and you got to respect that for the young lad as well. Bob, I'm such a big Oscar Bob fan, massively. But I think the way that people treated Savinho tonight and treated Oscar Bob is proof that there is a bit of sort of bias inherently there. I think Oscar needs to be way more assertive. It could be fitness, and it could be, hesitancy after his injury, but I look at Oscar Bob right now, and I am still a little bit worried. And trust me, there is not many bigger fans of Oscar Bob than me. I'm just intensely honest always about my feeling. I don't really care who the player is. I'll be honest with them. And he absolutely deserves patience. He absolutely deserves time. But football doesn't wait around. He's 22 years old, and, I don't know. I just want to see him be a little bit more assertive, because I guess the point I was about to make with Savinho is that people have been very kind to Oscar Bob, but he did no better. In fact, he did less than Savinho, in my opinion. Very smart football, very technically good, but he needs to be so much more aggressive. And I think a year ago he was more aggressive, and I'm a bit nervous. He needs to get more decisive. More decisive in himself. And it is there, but I guess the point I'm making is that time's not going to wait for him. It just isn't. And I feel like he's going to have to really grab the bull by the horns here, because City will spend big next summer. And if that right wing slot hasn't been nailed down by a Marmoush or a Bob or whoever, Savinho, City are going to come out and spend a lot of money on a big signing, and Oscar Bob will lose his chance. Right now, that shirt slot is absolutely open. But he needs to be a little bit more assertive. And it probably is his mental hurdles, but he just looks a little bit more... Trust me in this. I know Oscar Bob. I've been watching him for 5-6 years, and I know how talented he is, but he needs to be a bit more assertive. He just needs to be. He looks hesitant, and I know how good he is, and that's not the same Oscar Bob as a year ago. He's 10% less confident. I can see it. 10% less electric, and it could be confidence, but I'm a little bit worried. Fingers crossed he'll be fine. Nothing to say about Rico or Nico Gonzalez. I thought was good, by the way. Nico Gonzalez was aggressive, won everything, passed it nicely. He was just good. Interceptions constantly. I thought he was good, man. Onto the substitutes. I really enjoyed the sighting of the young wonder kid, the young lad from Leeds. People say he's the next Pirlo, actually. Calvin Phillips, got England pedigree as well. Yeah, really talented young midfielder. Looking really promising. Never heard of him before. Calvin Phillips. No idea, but, new name out of nowhere. Fingers crossed he's got something to offer, because it's going to be an awful long season. What the fuck, man? Calvin Phillips out of nowhere. Back on the bench and on the pitch. I never had that in a million years when I predicted that. He looks shit. I know, I'm not trying to be harsh here, but he looks so slow. That guy is running in water. Not running in water. That guy's running in treacle. Like, literally, he got caught on the ball twice by Huddersfield players, and he should have been the freshest on the pitch. I don't know. I thought he looked really slow. Calvin, yeah, whatever, man. Whatever. I was more happy to see Jaden Heskey and Reigan Heskey come on the pitch as well. Jaden is a unit, so I saw some people say he looks a bit Essie and Heskey in his physicality, but yeah, I mean, he only got one pass to make. Sorry, Jaden. Sorry, not Reigan. Jaden. completed all his passes, got 10 touches, and he won a couple of his duels, and he looks aggressive and physical. I know Jaden when he was more of a forward, more of a attacker, but he's a midfielder now, and he looked good in his little cameo there. And and Reigan Heskey, he got his shot away. You know, the first dribble he attempted, Reigan Heskey, was hilarious. He sort of fell over his own feet a little bit. That was, I'm 17 years old, play for Man City, making my debut, and I'm fucking nervous. And he literally tried to do a step over and just fell over the ball. Second time, though, he got his head up and he cut inside, got a little bit of space, and he tested the keeper with a decent shot. It was just good to see the young lads on the bench, wasn't it? It really was nice. I haven't got a lot to say about this, but we're into the hat for the 4th round. Ultimately, no one got injured. Foden carried on his form. You know, Savinho got a nice little bit of 90 minutes to get some fitness. Stozaki came through it fine. Nico Gonzalez got some football. We saw debuts for Mukasa, Heskey, full debuts. Mukasa, of course, played in pre-season, etc. But, debuts for the Heskey brothers and so on. And yeah, absolutely fine. Nothing to write home about. Intensely forgettable. The return of Calvin Phillips. Whatever, man. I mean that in a nice way. It just is what it is. You take it, don't you? You take it and you move on. You forget about it and you are done. And City are through to the next round. So let's see how it goes. I'll leave it there because I haven't got an awful lot to say. I'm sure I'll do 5 things that we learned tomorrow. But now, thanks for watching, guys. You're beautiful. You in particular. Thanks for watching. Up the Blues. Subscribe if you're new. I'm going to watch the PlayStation State of Play because I'm a massive nerd and I'm feeling a bit rough. And I'm going to watch that. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.